Okay, this should end up being a pretty simple project. All I'm going to do is replace a strap, set of Heaton. One strap seems to have been maybe repaired at one point. I see some stitching here and here, but it still looks like it got removed. Top strap, this pad has it. This pad is missing it. So, tools we'll be using: speedy stitch, hole punch for leather, and some leather strapping. I'm going to cut it down to the right size. I'm going to get things set up, and I'm going to start this over. Okay, so first step I have to do is measure how long we need the strap to be. We're going to make a strap. I tried to buy a strap, I couldn't find a decent black strap anywhere, so we're going to measure out the strap and make one. And I'm going to start right on the edge, and then I'll add a little bit. So to the point, we are 24 inches exactly. So I'm going to probably add, I think I'm going to loop the end. So I'm going to add a ½ inch. That'll give me a ¼ inch inside that I can stitch through. So I'm going to do 24½ inches. And for now, we can pull this one out of the way. Some leather strap material and marker. Maybe I'll use a black, see if I can even see it. So 24½. This piece out of the way. I did need to measure the width because obviously my strapping is too wide, and we're looking at just a shy bit under 7/8. Try a couple spots just to see. That's about as stretched out at the top, so it's 7/8. 7/8. The trick here is I'm going to need some type of a decent edge for cutting this, and in order to do that, I'm going to need a pretty good line. My measurements are going to have to be pretty on par, and this marker is not going to cut it. I need a finer point. Okay, just remembered I have a T-square. That isn't very square. once I get it stored, I think we'll be okay. Yeah, that's pretty sharp. So I'm going to use this end to sew onto and I thought I might put a little bit of a fold on the knob here, something like that, and insert that into the hole. Try this again. I have a sneaking suspicion that that is a replacement buckle, and it is. I did not notice that before. So we have to go narrower. We'll go ahead and pause this while I figure this out. Okay, I eyeballed it out, trimmed another probably close to almost 1/8 of an inch off. I'm just going to hand cut it. I'm going to follow the tape line and hopefully make it as straight as I can. Next, we have to remove the stitching that's there already to get at the hole. I think we should be able to remove this fairly easy. There's a knotted end here. And if I can pull up a little bit. And I suppose I'll just like super speed up this part of the video. And it'll magically be all done at some point quickly. But this is not going to be fun or easy. I'm just going to pause for now and I'll just keep doing it. I'll turn it back on when I'm done. Okay, so stitching is all removed. That was fun and time consuming. Now have the hole accessible here to stitch the new strap into. I have the new strap. I have preloaded my Speedy Stitcher with waxed black thread. I took out the twine type of thread. I've never used one of these before. I'm probably going to refer to the instruction book a couple times. I did watch a video, if that matters. Yeah, I'm going to give it a try. I first want to put a stitch or two through this. Of course, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that without being able to put my hand on the back side. That's good enough for a clump. I'm gonna go take care of the hole in my finger and I'll be back to it. So, a couple things. I'm still gonna have to punch my holes, taper my end, but I'm gonna do that afterwards. I'll measure it out with the other pad, make sure the holes are all in the right spot. I have a hole punch for leather. I have my knob on the end here to go down in the hole, and I want to make sure, obviously for looks, the fabric is, or the leather is the right way. So I have the hole. I'm going to slide this thing through just like that, and it's caught nicely. I'm going to do about 1 inch on each side. It's locked in. The knob I sewed is in there. It's catching. It's good. It's below the lip. I'm going to sew about 1 inch on each side. So I need that much thread plus a couple extra inches to work with, and start about 1 inch away. I'm using a slightly bent needle on purpose, just in case I had to get at any angles. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to put the straight needle on there if I wasn't going to, or if I was going to need something different, and I figured this wouldn't hurt at all, and so far it hasn't been a problem. Okay, so I put the first one in. Now I pull this back out just enough to get my next hole started, and kind of following the stitch pattern that's there. Bring it back a little bit, make a little loop, draw this through the loop, and now when I pull this back out, we'll have our first stitch. And essentially this process just follows that over and over. I have a feeling when I get to the new strap, it's going to be really tight. There's my little loop. Feed this thread through, pull back, tighten. It's going to be hard because I'm going to be going through the nylon material and the leather. And this nylon is difficult enough on its own. This is a really handy tool though, I can say that much. So I'm going to bring this stitch right up next to it. And then my next stitch will be closer. To the edge of the fabric, or to the edge of the leather. I keep saying that. But enough that my hole shouldn't break through the edge of the leather. Draw it back. I have a loop. Feed this through the loop. Just a repetitive process over and over. Tight. I think it was actually kind of a smart idea to put that knob at the bottom of the strap, because I'm stitching above that right now, and that's helping hold that strap in there. Now I'm going to come up again right tight to it as best as I can. This is a handy tool. I've done some other repairs, didn't have this. I wish I would have had this. Let's do one more stitch here. In fact, pull out some extra because this is going to be my last stitch. And this will be where I tie it off on that side. And here we'll pull out some extra thread, make my knot easier. Bring this back. Just like that. Make sure I cut the right end. Tool is out. And now we'll just throw a knot in here and then trim these off. And there. Strap is attached. It's in there nice and tight. Excellent. Happy with that. So now, my next step is I'm going to measure where the first hole is and then the space between the holes on the other pad on the main strap. So it looks like we have quite a distance before the first hole, and I mean ballparking it from the seam on the inside we're just about 12 inches, and then the holes are, looks like 1 inch centers. So 12 inches and 1 inch. For this, I will use the silver marker. And I'm just going to eyeball the center point. Well, I had a little battery outage there. Not sure where we left off. Tried the first hole punch. Turns out I felt it was a little bit too big of a hole, and so I'm adjusting and going with a little bit smaller hole. And there we go. And now, just by hand here, I'll throw a taper on the end. see how that works. And there we go. New strap. Good and tight. I already checked this repair over here. This buckle is in there really well. They did a spiral thread. They did go through the leather a couple times. That works out. Holds it in nice and tight. Overall, it looks like they did a pretty good repair job. I don't know what could have happened over here unless they just didn't do it well, but removing those threads that were there was not very fun. They were really in tight, so unless the strap had broke again or they needed it for some other pad or something, so they cut it off and reused it. Don't know. Toe straps look good, so I don't think I'll mess with those. I was planning on, I have extra material, so I could have made toe straps too if I needed them. My second video on being an amateur hockey gear repair. Cool.